Welcome back to the deep dive. I was standing in front of my bookshelf the other day staring at what I guess you'd call the self-improvement section.
Hmm.
And I had this realization that was honestly kind of frustrating. We spend so much time and energy trying to, fix our mind.
Right. We all want that mental
We
master.
want that inner peace where, like, a traffic jam doesn't completely ruin your morning or a snarky email from a coworker doesn't send you into a spiral.
We're all chasing stability. We want to feel like we're in the driver's seat, not just getting tossed around by our emotions.
Exactly. But when you go looking for the instruction manual on how to do that, what do you find? You dig into the deeper stuff and you get hit with these incredibly dense ancient philosophy texts.
Oh, yeah.
You read one paragraph and you feel like you need a PhD just to decipher the table of contents. It just feels so disconnected.
It creates it's a huge barrier to entry. And that's the problem. We treat these concepts like academic subjects, things to study in a museum, instead of what they are, which is a practical toolkit. We think you have to go live in a monastery to get it. But the mechanics of the mind are operating right now while we're sitting here.
And that practical side is exactly why I wanted to get into the source material we have today. We're doing a deep dive into a discussion called the spiritual barista.
I love that title.
It's great, isn't it? Our mission today is to decode two pretty complex Buddhist concepts, Ceto-vimutti and Paññā-vimutti. And this is the part that got me, we're not going to use a dictionary. We're going to use a barista and an analogy about diabetes.
Which, I'll admit, sounds like a very strange combination. But after looking at the material, it's a fascinating way to frame it. Because we're not really talking about religion here. We're talking about the mechanics of the mind. The source wants to show us how to brew the mind with everyday logic. How to make it, as they say, smooth and mellow.
Mellow is such a good word for it.
Yeah.
It's not weak, but it's not harsh either. Okay, so let's start with the diagnosis. The source says we're all basically sick, but not in a way we usually think. It compares human defilements, greed, anger, all that stuff, not to sins, but to something physiological.
An addiction.
Yeah, an addiction to sweetness. It calls it diabetes of the mind.
And that reframe is so helpful because it just removes the moral judgment. We think, I'm a bad person because I got angry, or I'm weak because I want that thing I don't need.
Right.
But the source just says, no, it's a pathology. You have a kind of mental diabetes. You're addicted to the sweetness of getting what you want.
So we don't need a priest to absolve us. We need a doctor.
Exactly. Or a nutritionist. Think about physical diabetes. Your body can't process sugar. It becomes toxic. With mental diabetes, your mind can't process sensory input without getting inflamed by desire or aversion.
Our insulin response is broken.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, so if we accept that we have this condition, and, looking at the world, it seems fair, we need a treatment plan. And this is where those two big tongue-twisting words come in. Let's start with the first one, Paññā-vimutti.
Right. Paññā-vimutti. The source translates this as liberation by wisdom. Now, wisdom is a vague word for us.
Yeah, I think of an old man with a beard.
Exactly. But in our diabetes analogy, paññā is very specific. It's the intellectual understanding of the problem.
So it's like medical knowledge, nutritional science.
Precisely. It's the crystal clear, undeniable knowledge that sugar acts as a poison to your body. It's not just a hunch like, I probably shouldn't eat that.
It's looking at a donut and seeing the kidney damage, not just the frosting.
Yes, that's paññā.
Okay, but here's the problem, and I think everyone can relate to this. Knowing isn't doing. I know scrolling my phone at 2 a.m. is bad for me. I still do it.
That's the universal human struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
That gap. And it's why the source says, paññā, that wisdom isn't enough on its own. You can understand all the philosophy and still be a slave to your impulses.
Which brings us to the second concept, Ceto-vimutti.
Right. Liberation by mind, or concentration. The source calls this heart strength, willpower.
Willpower.
Okay. So if paññā is the brain knowing the facts, Ceto is the muscle. It's the raw willpower to physically put down the spoon.
The brakes on the car.
Exactly. Your brain is screaming for that sugar rush, but Ceto is the inner strength that lets you just stop.
So we have the map, which is wisdom, and the engine, willpower. Yeah. And the source breaks down what happens when you have one without the other. Let's take scenario A. You have wisdom, you know the donut is bad, but you have zero Ceto, zero muscle.
That just looks like misery. You eat the sweet anyway, but you hate yourself the entire time you're doing it.
The guilty pleasure. That's not even a pleasure.
It's just guilt. Your mind is screaming, why am I doing this? This is going to hurt me. But you can't stop. A lot of very smart people get stuck there. They can explain why they're angry, but they can't stop shouting.
That's a terrible place to be. But I think scenario B is even sneakier. This is the fruit trap.
Yes.
This is where you have tons of Ceto-willpower of steel, but no wisdom. Can you unpack that?
This is such a critical insight. So imagine someone with huge discipline. They have high Ceto. They decide no more cake. And they use their willpower to just stop. Cold turkey.
Which sounds like a win. We applaud that.
On the surface, yeah. But because they lack the wisdom, the paññā, to understand what sugar is, they just switch their addiction.
To what?
To incredibly sweet fruits. They stop eating cake, but now they gorge on mangoes and grapes.
Ah, I see it. They think they've solved the problem, but chemically the body is still getting flooded with sugar.
Exactly. They feel superior because they quit cake, but they are still feeding the same addiction, just in a different package.
So what's the mental or spiritual fruit? If cake is explosive anger, what's the mango?
That's a great question. So someone uses their willpower to suppress that anger. They stop yelling. But because they don't understand the root of the anger, the ego, the need to be right, that energy just goes somewhere else.
They become like passive-aggressive.
Or incredibly judgmental,
Yeah.
self-righteous. They swap an obvious vice for a sneakier one that feels more evolved.
So they stop yelling, but now they just simmer in silence and judge everyone. That's the fruit trap, spiritual bypassing.
Precisely. You suppress the symptom without curing the disease. And that's why you need both. You need the strength to stop and the wisdom to understand why you're stopping.
Otherwise, you're just relapsing or masking.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so we've got the symptoms, but what's the root cause? The source mentions a domino effect.
Yes. To stop the diabetes, you have to look at the diet. In the mental model, the source points to what we can call domino number 0, the starting point.
And that is?
Selfishness.
Selfishness, is that just, not sharing? Or is it something deeper?
It's much deeper. The source says selfishness is what nudges the next domino, which is avijja, or ignorance. Specifically, the ignorance of anatta.
Anatta, the non-self concept, the idea that there isn't a solid me in here.
Correct. And the chain reaction is fascinating. Because we have this fundamental ignorance, we believe there's a solid, permanent self that needs to be defended. We naturally become selfish.
So selfishness isn't just a character flaw. It's a logical consequence of believing I am a separate thing.
Exactly. And that belief starts a wildfire. Once we believe in this self, we have to protect it. If someone insults you, why do you get angry?
Because they attacked me, my ego.
Right. And if someone has something you want, why do you get greedy?
Because I want it.
The whole forest anger, greed, jealousy burns down simply because we started with that first domino of believing I exist.
It's like we're constantly patrolling the borders of a country that doesn't even exist.
That's a perfect way to put it. We're exhausting ourselves defending a phantom. And that is the suffering. That's the heat from the fire.
Okay, so the forest is burning. We need a solution. And this is where the title of the source finally comes in. We need the barista.
This is where the metaphor shifts to coffee, and it's brilliant. The hero of this story is Sati, or mindfulness.
Mindfulness is the barista.
The barista, or the driver, its job is to manage the ingredients.
Okay, let's brew this coffee. We have our 3 components. Ceto, willpower. Paññā, wisdom. And now Sati, mindfulness. How do they map onto a cup of coffee?
So the source breaks it down like this. Ceto, the willpower, is the hot water. It's the force, the energy.
Okay, got it. Hot water.
Paññā, the wisdom, is the coffee powder. That's the essence, the flavor.
Powder, okay.
And Sati, mindfulness, is the brewer, the barista, the one who actually combines them.
I love this because you can't make coffee with just powder, and plain hot water is useless.
Yeah.
So walk me through it. The wildfire is sparking. Someone cuts me off in traffic. How does the barista handle this?
The moment that spark of anger happens, Sati, the barista, has to wake up. First, it calls on Ceto, the hot water.
It hits the brakes.
It hits the brakes. It uses that force to stop you from honking the horn or firing off that angry email. It arrests the momentum.
So step 1 is the hot water. Stop the reaction. But if you stop there, you're just suppressing it, right? That's the fruit trap again.
Exactly. You're just holding a cup of scalding hot water. So simultaneously, the barista adds the paññā, the coffee powder.
The wisdom.
While the break is held, wisdom looks at the anger and says, wait, this isn't me. This is just a passing state. There's no self here to be offended.
It infuses the moment with perspective.
Yes.
Yes.
It mixes the powder into the water. Yeah. And you can't separate them once they're brewed. You can't just have one or the other.
Right. All powder, no water. That's the philosopher who knows better but still yells at the waiter.
Perfect. And all water, no powder, that's just bottling up emotions until you explode. The barista's job is to blend them perfectly, in real time.
Okay, so when this actually works,
Mm-hmm.
what's the result? What does the perfect cup taste like?
The source gives us 3 distinct characteristics of a perfectly brewed mind. The first is knowing. Brew in Thai. You see the anger clearly for what it is. You aren't blinded by it.
You're looking at the cup, not drowning in it.
Exactly. The second is awake. Tuin. This means you're not dragged away by the defilement. The anger tries to pull you into a story, but you stay alert. You stay present.
Okay, knowing and awake. And the third?
The third is the most surprising one. It's blissful or joyful. Berkman. This means you're not suffering from it.
Wait, joyful. That's not what I'd expect. I'd think of controlling anger as like gritting your teeth, white-knuckling it.
And that's the sign we're getting it wrong. The perfect cup should taste good. If you're applying wisdom and willpower correctly, you feel a sense of lightness, you see the sugar, you don't eat it, and you feel free, not deprived.
It's the joy of escaping the trap.
Yes, the joy of not being burned by the fire. It's the relief of not stepping in the bear trap. That's not deprivation, it's freedom.
Wow, that's a huge shift. It's not, I can't have this, it's, I don't have to have this. So what does this all mean for us? How do we train our inner barista, who I'm pretty sure is asleep on the job right now?
Laughs. Well, the source reminds us that the defilements, the kilesa, they work hard every day. They show up to work on time.
They really do.
Yeah.
My anxiety is already clocked in before I've even had my coffee.
Exactly. They are diligent, so we have to train our inner barista to be just as diligent. We have to practice blending the hot water and the powder over and over until it becomes second nature.
It's muscle memory or barista memory.
Yes. At first it's messy. You spill the water, you forget the powder. That's fine. The point is to just keep brewing.
Yes.
We have the capacity to create a mellow mind, no matter how chaotic the world outside is.
We have the ingredients. We just need to practice the craft.
Wow.
Okay, let's wrap this up. We've gone from sugar addiction to forest fires to coffee. To recap for everyone, Ceto is the power, the hot water that stops momentum.
Paññā is the light, the coffee powder that brings understanding.
And Sati mindfulness is the barista that blends them together so we don't end up with a useless drink.
And the goal is that knowing, awake, and blissful state. A mind that's robust but mellow.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with. Next time you feel that surge of emotion, maybe later today, stop and ask your internal barista. Are you just using hot water, forcing yourself to stop? Are you just staring at the powder, thinking about theory? Or are you actually brewing the coffee?
That's the question. Are you making something drinkable out of the chaos?
That's it for today's deep dive. Go brew some excellent mental states. Thanks for listening.